Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus Channel. Presidential travel has never been as simple as moving one person from one airport to another. Every journey must carry the president, senior advisors, communications teams, medical support, security personnel, and the equipment needed to keep the government functioning anywhere in the world.
So we've had very good negotiations today.
That requirement transformed ordinary transports into modified aircraft operated by the United States Air Force. One of the most historic was the Boeing VC-137C SAM-26000. Entering presidential service in 1962, the aircraft became associated with President John F. Kennedy. It carried him to Dallas on November 22, 1963, and returned his body to Washington after his assassination. Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in as president aboard the aircraft at Love Field. SAM-26000 later carried President Richard Nixon on landmark visits to China and the Soviet Union. By 1990, presidential airlift had moved to the larger Boeing VC-25A, a heavily modified 747-200B. Two aircraft, tail numbers 28000 and 29000, became presidential transports. Each could fly at about 630 miles per hour, cruise above 40,000 feet, and carry communications equipment, presidential spaces, staff, Secret Service personnel, media, and medical support. But decades of service created a replacement problem. The VC-25As were based on an airliner generation that first flew commercially in the 1960s, and keeping such specialized aircraft available requires aging parts, unique maintenance, and specialized support. The Air Force therefore pursued VC-25B aircraft based on the Boeing 747-8 platform. While that replacement effort continued, a separate aircraft emerged as a bridge between generations. In 2026, the Air Force commissioned a VC-25B Bridge aircraft assigned to the 89th Airlift Wing at Joint Base Andrews. It gave the presidential airlift mission a modernized platform, while the permanent replacement program continued toward completion. Side by side, the difference between the old VC-25A and the newer VC-25B platform is more than cosmetic. The VC-25A comes from the 747-200 generation, with a shorter fuselage, older generation engines, and systems designed around technology from an earlier era of wide-body aviation. The VC-25B platform is based on the longer 747-8, giving it a stretched profile, updated aerodynamics, redesigned wings, and newer engines. The newer airframe was created for greater efficiency, longer range service, and modern systems integration, giving presidential planners a stronger starting point. The contrast also appears in how each aircraft is expected to support the president. The VC-25A relies on decades of upgrades layered onto an aging airframe, while the VC-25B generation is intended to incorporate modern communications, electrical architecture, defensive systems, and support equipment from the beginning. The newer platform also offers more internal volume and a more contemporary maintenance base, reducing dependence on increasingly scarce parts from the older 747-200 family. In simple terms, the VC-25A is a proven presidential aircraft kept relevant through constant modernization, while the VC-25B moves the same mission onto a newer, larger, and more supportable 747 foundation. On July 1, 2026, President Donald Trump boarded the newly commissioned bridge aircraft at Joint Base Andrews for its first operational presidential flight. Ground crews positioned support equipment around the aircraft, while security personnel controlled the ramp.
This is a plane that the United States of America should have. Our Air Force One was 35, 36 years old, and it would be parked next to the new ones like this, and it really didn't look appropriate for our country.
After the president arrived, he climbed the stairs and entered the aircraft as the crew prepared for departure. Attention then shifted to the flight deck and ground team. Electrical systems, communications, navigation equipment, and engines were checked before the aircraft began taxiing. Once cleared, the four-engine jet rolled onto the runway, accelerated under full power, and lifted away from Andrews, carrying the president to Medora, North Dakota, for the dedication of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. Arrival reverses the sequence with equal coordination. Before Air Force One touches down, local security teams secure the airfield and establish controlled zones. Support vehicles, stairs, communications teams, and motorcade elements are positioned in advance. After landing, the aircraft taxis to the designated ramp, where security personnel form a protective perimeter before the door opens. Air Force One is only the most visible part of presidential travel. Every successful journey depends on layers of people and equipment moving ahead of, beside, and behind it. That becomes clearer once the president leaves the aircraft and the mission shifts from airborne transport to continuous protection on the ground. Once the president steps away from Air Force One, the aircraft may remain behind, but the protective operation moves with him. Secret Service agents spread around arrival points, vehicles, buildings, and routes, watching crowds and maintaining controlled access, while local police and military personnel support the wider perimeter. Much of that protection arrives before the president. Cargo aircraft can deliver armored vehicles, communications equipment, barriers, support gear, and other material required for the visit. During a Secret Service equipment offload, crews lower ramps, guide vehicles from the aircraft, and move each item toward a staging area. Equipment is positioned according to the schedule, so transportation and security teams are ready before the presidential aircraft appears. Among the most closely watched members of a presidential movement is the military aide who remains near the commander-in-chief. During visits involving Marine One, NATO meetings, and overseas departures, an aide can be seen moving with the presidential party while carrying a black case. The case is commonly associated with emergency communications and authentication procedures supporting the president's role as commander-in-chief. Publicly available information does not reveal every detail of its contents or procedures, and the aide's presence should not be confused with an automatic order to use nuclear weapons. Instead, the broader system exists to keep national command authority connected during a crisis. That system reaches far beyond one suitcase. America's nuclear command, control, and communications enterprise links national leaders with command centers, warning networks, communication systems, and operational forces. Its purpose is to ensure that lawful orders can still be transmitted, authenticated, and carried out if normal infrastructure is disrupted. Presidential travel therefore brings together two worlds. Secret Service teams concentrate on immediate physical protection, while military communications personnel preserve command connectivity. Aircraft, helicopters, motorcades, cargo transports, and secure communications all overlap around one moving schedule. Whether the president is boarding Marine One, entering a summit venue, or transferring into a motorcade, the surrounding personnel move as part of a rehearsed formation. Their spacing changes with the location, but the objective remains continuity. Protect the president, preserve communications, and keep decision-making capability available throughout the journey. Behind that moving network sits an aircraft designed for the moment when ordinary command centers may no longer be enough. The E-4B National Airborne Operations Center, a flying headquarters built to keep national leadership connected under extreme conditions during a national emergency situation. E-4B looks like another Boeing 747 from a distance, but its mission is radically different. Known as the National Airborne Operations Center, or NAOC, it is designed to preserve national command and control during the most severe emergencies, including situations in which normal ground command centers are damaged or unavailable. Inside, the aircraft is divided into functional areas for command authorities, conferences, briefings, operations teams, communications specialists, and crew rest. Depending on configuration, it can carry more than 100 people. Instead of airline cabins, much of the interior is filled with workstations, communications equipment, secure spaces, and the systems needed to keep senior leaders connected with military forces around the world. The aircraft is hardened against electromagnetic pulse effects and carries satellite and other communication systems. It can also refuel in flight, extending its endurance far beyond a normal sortie. At least one E-4B is maintained on alert around the clock, allowing a global watch team to respond if national leadership suddenly needs an airborne command center. Before departure, maintainers inspect the 747-derived airframe, engines, communications equipment, and mission systems. Inside, operators power workstations and confirm links while flight crews complete cockpit checks. When cleared, the 4 engines push the heavy aircraft down the runway and into the air, where it can become a flying headquarters rather than simply a transport. Training that crew requires equally specialized infrastructure. In April 2022, the Air Force opened an E-4B flight simulator facility in Nebraska, allowing pilots to practice procedures and emergencies without consuming flight hours on the small operational fleet. Simulator training helps crews rehearse engine failures, bad weather, system problems, and complex approaches while keeping real aircraft available for alert and mission requirements. The same emphasis on resilient communications appears in smaller aircraft. The E-11A carries the Battlefield Airborne Communications Node, or BACN, a system often described as a communications gateway in the sky. Before flight, crews inspect the business jet-derived aircraft and its mission systems, ensuring the platform is ready to relay information once airborne. Over mountains or other rough terrain, line-of-sight radios can struggle because ridges physically block signals between units. Flying high above those obstacles allows the E-11A to connect forces that might otherwise have difficulty communicating directly. BACN can bridge different networks, helping aircraft and ground forces exchange information across complicated operating areas. Electronic warfare takes the concept one step further. The EC-130H compass call used a modified C-130 Hercules to disrupt enemy command, control, radar, and communications. Its mission was not to destroy those systems with bombs, but to interfere with the electronic connections that make coordinated operations possible. The newer EC-37B compass call carries that mission onto a Gulfstream G550-derived airframe. Smaller and faster than the EC-130H, it represents the next generation of airborne electronic attack while transferring proven mission equipment into a modern platform. Together, these aircraft reveal what surrounds presidential airlift beyond the blue and white 747. Air Force One moves the president. Secret Service teams protect the journey. Nuclear command and control systems preserve authority. The E-4B provides a survivable airborne headquarters. The E-11A keeps scattered forces connected, and compass call aircraft challenge an opponent's communications. From SAM 26000 and the aging VC-25A to the newly commissioned VC-25B Bridge aircraft, presidential aviation has continuously evolved around one requirement: keep national leadership mobile, secure, informed, and connected. The aircraft may change, but that mission remains constant across every generation of American presidential travel and airborne command. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.